Now, what has been the progress so far? On day one, Russians attacked. On day one, the Russians attacked for the suppression of enemy air defenses, and they hit 11 airfields, 18 radar sites, and they hit the SAM batteries S-300. Remember, India has the advanced version S-400. These are called the Buk anti-aircraft missile systems. So they hit them for suppression of enemy air defenses just one day. Don't forget, in the Iraq war, the Americans have done air attacks for over 40 days before they went in their ground troops. So the Russians have been trying to save collateral damage and to the civilian population. Therefore, they have fired till now about 350 Iskander missiles, cruise missiles, and other precision guided munitions. Right? They have tried to minimize collateral damage. Now, what is the Russian? On the first day itself, they had landed air assault forces at the Antonov airport, just 23 kilometers from Kyiv. And from there, they sent their paratroopers, their Chechens, onto Kyiv, the capital city itself. The land link-up was supposed to have taken place day before yesterday. But yesterday, Putin had stopped their advance because he wanted to give them a chance to surrender. When they did not surrender, he has now started, ceasefire negotiations, which are now ongoing. Now, the Russian link-up forces, the main ground forces of the 41st Army, are just 30 kilometers from Kyiv. The standard Russian practice for capturing a city is that they surround it, they ask the civilian populations to get out along designated routes, and then they bombard heavily with their multi-barrel Grad rocket launchers, MBRLs. They hit from the air with their Su-25 fighter bombers, Rockford bombers, with missiles, with cruise missiles, and then their tanks charge for the city center. From there, they radiate outwards. Right? That is their standard practice. We were anticipating that they would do the same here, but we were surprised when they have not used heavy artillery at all, which can be quite indiscriminate and which can cause heavy collateral damage. So they have made efforts to restrict collateral damage to the minimum. But today morning, they have asked the citizens of Kyiv, the civilians, to get out of the way. That means they will follow the standard practice, it looks like, of heavy artillery bombardment, air bombardment, to suppress anti-tank guided missiles, suppress shoulder-fired stingers. Heavy suppressive fires followed by violent attacks. And if the population gets out of the way, they don't use civilians as shields, then the Russian army, I don't think, can be really stopped from capturing Kyiv. It is not a question of if, but when. Similarly, there is heavy fighting already on in Kharkiv. They have taken most of their objectives in Donetsk and Luhansk. They have done the maximum gains in the south towards the seaports of Odessa and the seaports of Mariupol. With this, they have cut off Ukraine from all access to the sea. I think it is highly immoral of the West to cheerlead the Ukrainian people into fighting to the last man, last round, because the only people to suffer would unfortunately be Ukraine. They have refused to put their troops, their boots on the ground. They have just imposed economic sanctions. They have left the Ukrainians to fend for themselves. This is, I think, an immoral position, because it is unrealistic to expect the Ukrainian forces to last longer than a few days, given the military balance. It is only pushing Russia to use heavy and indiscriminate firepower, which is their standard practice actually. They use very heavy suppressive fires. So that will cause great harm to Ukraine. Their oil tanks are being hit, their oil facilities are being hit, their gas pipeline has been cut. Every day that they fight, there is more. They have secured Chernobyl because the Russians were suspecting that the Ukrainians are diverting fissile material from their plants. Some of it they have sold, some they may be trying to fabricate nuclear weapons, which would be an extremely serious threat for Russia, for the whole world rather. And that is why I think the Russians have put their nuclear forces on the highest state of alert, also to deter the Americans, the Europeans from now sending in heavier arms and weapons into Ukraine. From where will you send heavy arms and weapons? The sea routes are blocked. You can't send it by the air because of their S-400, S-500 anti-aircraft missile systems, the Triumph missile systems, which have made this a no-go fly zone. And that only leaves the ground routes. Whatever comes by the ground route can always be attacked from the air by the Russians. It seems to be a case of too little, too late. All this should have been sent before the war started. So that in sum is the progress of operations there. And once again, I'd like to emphasize the fact that the Russian aim is not to capture and hold territory. To my mind, it's like what we did in Bangladesh. We went in, we occupied the whole of Bangladesh, we captured the capital city of Dhaka, 93,000 prisoners of war surrendered, and we came out.
Right.
So even the Russians, less Donetsk, Luhansk, Crimea, possibly the port cities of Odessa and Mariupol, they will vacate the rest. But they will inflict heavy damage. As Professor Mearsheimer has been saying, Russia's aim is not to hold territory and get bogged down in an Afghanistan-like situation. Russia's aim is to go hammer and tongs. Russia's aim is to go hammer and tongs for the military potential, decapacitate the military potential, decapacitate the leadership. You could expect attacks, precision attacks on the Ukrainian leadership tonight, tomorrow. Key critical battles will be fought now.